Hi, I'm Bob Denny. In this video, we're going to look at where ACP and ACP Expert's log files are saved, where they're stored. And we're not going to go into the details of what's inside the log files, just how to find them. I ask this question a lot of people on the Comm Center. I always ask to have a log file posted, or in the case of Expert, both the engine log and the ACP run logs for that work. I always have asked to have them attached to your ticket so that I can tell what's going on. And if you run into unexpected things, you can look in the log files and find out yourself. But the trick is you have to know where they are. So we're going to go in this video, look and see where the log files are and which log files relate to which aspects of ACP. Before looking at this video, you probably should go look at the video on the File Explorer that I also have. It's a short video and shows you some tricks on how to use the File Explorer to easily get to the places where ACP stores its logs. Okay, let's get going. Okay, we're looking at the Windows File Explorer. I should mention that down below in the comments to this video, you'll find a link to the video I produced that covers the tricks in using the File Explorer so that you can get the ACP Astronomy, which is actually my documents or documents ACP Astronomy. And that's, if you look here, the path is right here. That folder and that folder there, public documents, to be able to get those up in your quick access so that you don't have to fish around and go through a whole bunch of folders to get to where you're going. So I would encourage you to look at that video. All right, with that said, here's where ACP puts all of its log files under Documents, ACP Astronomy. If we go up here to the quick access for documents, you'll see ACP Astronomy is below that. Plus, you'll probably have a whole lot more other things under documents than this. This is a Windows 10 test machine, so I keep it clean. So anyway, documents, ACP Astronomy, and once you get in here, you'll also be in the main tree down here, but let's just not worry about that. So under documents, ACP Astronomy, logs. If you have to tattoo this on your arm, that's the place to put it, or put it on a sign in front of you or whatever. Whenever you're filing a tech support ticket, all of the log files are in Documents or My Documents, ACP Astronomy, logs. That's it. Now, let's take live ACP runs first. That is the runs that you feed an observing plan into ACP either through the forms on the web interface or through the ACP planner, or if you've typed up an ACP observing plan, however you get the observing plan document. When you push the button, either on the web browser or on the console, it starts the ACP run right then and there. That mode of using ACP without the scheduler, those log files by default go in My Documents or Documents, ACP Astronomy, logs, and a date. This is the date, the UTC date at the beginning of the night. Okay, so let's look here. Here are a couple of log files from that date at 0532 and 0549 UTC. Those are two ACP runs that were done then. And same here. That's it. These are, just so you'll see what I'm talking about. There's a log file, and if you've used ACP, you've probably seen this before. It's a typical thing. So, all right, that's it. That's where the logs are stored for the runs. I call those ACP run logs. That is the logs that are produced when ACP does an observing run from start to finish. Okay, it's just that simple. Now, whenever ACP does an auto-flat, it's a separate type of run. And the auto-flats are done by ACP. They run in the ACP console or the engine. And they run on behalf of you having started the auto-flat run, or as a tail end job at the beginning or the end, I should say, of an ACP observing run, or the scheduler can run autoflats. In all those cases, the autoflats belong to everyone, so they get their own folder. So any acquisition of flats is going to put a log file, a special autoflat log, into, you guessed it, My Documents, ACP Astronomy, Logs, Autoflat. Now, the other thing that is done on behalf of you, if you run the autofocus script by hand, or an observing plan when it does an autofocus either on demand or as part of a periodic autofocus, or by the scheduler when it does an autofocus, no matter who does the autofocus, that is, again, that's done on behalf of all of the users and all the components, so it gets its own folder. And because Bob Denny didn't use his imagination at the time, instead of having their own folder, it just goes into the logs folder at the top. This is where the autofocus logs are, and these are going to be the focus logs for ACP. They're going to be substantial unless you're using the FocusMax Acquire Star, in which most of the activity goes on inside FocusMax. But for the regular ACP autofocus, whether it uses FocusMax or the PlaneWave PWI focus, those activities are going to be journaled in these autofocus logs. So if you're having problems with autofocus and you're asking me why is it doing this, I'm going to ask you to put one of the corresponding autofocus logs, attach that to your comm center ticket so that I can see. I have to have some kind of evidence to work with. So there's that. Finally, let's go to the logs that are used by the scheduler only. And as you might guess, they are in My Documents or Documents, ACP Astronomy, Logs, Scheduler. The scheduler does its own startup and shutdown every day. It's a 24/7 system, so it will start the observatory up in the evening and shut it down in the morning. Not surprisingly, those processes produce a log. Here they are. They are in, as you might guess, My Documents. Let's click here. My Documents, ACP Astronomy, Logs, Scheduler, Shutdown OBS, and Startup OBS. These are the logs that are produced by those processes. If you have trouble with your shutdown and startup, I'm going to ask you for these logs and have them attached to your ticket so that I can see what's going on. You might be able to solve your own problem by looking at this as well, because the error messages throughout, I've tried very hard to make those error messages both descriptive and sometimes even suggesting of a repair. So you might look at these logs yourself. It's a good way to kind of check up on yourself and on your system. Anyway, this is where the startup and shutdown logs for the scheduler are kept. Now, the scheduler can support multiple observers. These are different people with work that's in the queue, and whether or not you use the web and whether or not there are people logging in with usernames and passwords from some other location on the public internet, which those people are treated as separate observers in the scheduler, but you can also use this to support multiple observers just within the observatory itself. So in my case, I have myself as someone who logs in through the web. This is on this test system, so I use this for my web submitted work, which we're not going to cover today because those files have to be kept somewhere else. And I will put a link down below to the long video on how that works and why that is, and I'll try to make a short one later. Meanwhile, for people, again, who are using the observatory here in the observatory, you can still have multiple users. For the vast majority of you who are not that sophisticated, all of your work is going to be under observatory operator because that's who you are, right? So again, My Documents, ACP Astronomy, Logs. For the scheduler, observatory operator. What you find here is the same kind of thing as you find for live ACP runs up here in My Documents, ACP Astronomy, Logs. There are the date folders for live ACP runs. But For the scheduler, you go from My Documents, ACP Astronomy, Logs, Scheduler, and then the scheduler observer or astronomer, observatory operator. There they are again. And guess what you find in here? The ACP run logs for each job that the scheduler sends to ACP to execute. In the scheduler, those are called observations. And you can read up on how plans, observations, and image sets work. Projects, plans, observations, and image sets. But the observations are the units of work that the scheduler sends to ACP. And naturally, it produces a run log for each one of those. And there we are. There's a typical ACP run log. Okay, but this is on behalf of the scheduler, so it says this is acquire scheduler instead of acquire images. Hope that makes sense. So this is where all your run logs are for the scheduler. But there's one more thing we have to look at for the scheduler, and that is the scheduler itself keeps a log file of its decision-making process. And most people who have the scheduler know where these are, but again, it's at My Documents or Documents, ACP Astronomy, and then just scheduler engine logs. Hope that makes sense. And so here they are, and they are called, these are the typical names of them. I'm going to point out these run detail files. These are really test tools. Don't pay attention to them. I may ask you to send me one of these, or I may ask you to run a specific job and then send me the run detail. These really were written for me, and same with the plotter. You can try, if you shut down the scheduler and actually exit from it at the end of the night, it'll produce one of these run detail files. You can feed it into this plotter and do things with it, but I'm not going to go into any more about that right now. Just for the time being, don't worry about these. These are the ones that I'll ask for when I ask for a scheduler engine log. So let's just take a look at one. And this is the typical kind of thing you'll see. I'm not going to go through what's in here, but you can see your version and, my mouse is stuck. There we go. Okay. So, and that pretty much covers the whole thing. I've gone through every log file that you may encounter using ACP. Hopefully this has been useful to you. It's only, now it's just not even 7 minutes long. So once you see this, hopefully you'll be able to locate these log files quickly. In the future, I'll try to produce another one which will cover the situation where you're trying to dig up log files on behalf of users that are coming in from over the internet. And those logs are kept in a virtual sealed off location where the web server cannot get out of that area and get into the rest of your system for security reasons. I'll explain all that in another video. Thanks for watching. We hope this will help you. We'll have other videos for you in the future.